And now, time for a bedtime story. Well, it's bedtime somewhere. Hi everybody, Daphne here and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, check out my artwork at the galleries and social media sites next to me on the side here. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. And as always, there's free comics waiting for you at the link in the description box below, so don't forget to sign up for them. In today's video, not only will I be reading an excerpt from this book, but I will also be doing an inking demo of the piece that I illustrated here. This was a limited edition chapbook that was a stretch goal on the last Kickstarter for the OSWALD Chronicles comic series. If you would like more information about the OSWALD Chronicles, including signing up for our mailing list so you don't miss out on your chance to get your own copy through Kickstarter, then check out the link below. Now, let's get started.
The Manhattan skyline sparkled with the myriad facets of those that live within her. Some say the city is dirty and that it smells. There is merit to that. But from up here, 30 stories up, there is only cool winds and twinkling lights. Martin's mount did her best to keep us steady and comfortable for the flight home from our late-night dinner excursion. He had apologized for showing up late at my home unannounced, but he had good cause, as he was heading to an old elven restaurant in lovely Red Hook, Brooklyn, called Mama's, that was run by an ancient dwarfess who had fallen in love with elven cuisine and had made it her life's pursuit. I thanked Mama personally for her noble and delicious life quest, and promised her that I would return with many other guests in the near future. "They make the best cricket eggs in town, short of my mother's, of course," Martin said. Those were the words that he used to convince me to go with him, although I am certain that he did not have to be quite so persuasive. I would have joined him regardless. A night out with a friend is always welcome. Our night was done, and we were heading back to my home, where Martin would leave me and then head off to his own to rest up for an early morning patrol. I thought he was insane for staying out so late, but he explained to me that to miss Mama's cricket eggs for another night would have driven him mad. We were a few blocks from the Park Avenue Mall on which I live when I spotted a strange-looking craft made of wood, bronze, and glass moving at great speed from an apartment building. I could not help but point this out to the captain of the bird I flew on. "Martin, look at that. Do you have any idea what it could be?" Martin immediately barrel-rolled us into the direction of the craft, dropping 100 feet in seconds and nearly causing me to lose Mama's meal. "Sorry about that, Oswald. I've been looking for these guys for weeks." I was doing my best to hold in my dinner while asking, "Who is we?" "The Air Cav. We noticed them a few weeks ago and were curious to know what they're doing in Calcian airspace." "The Calcians do not own the sky, Martin. We do over New York, and if you don't believe me, you can ask the 50,000 members of the Air Cav yourself." It was best not to question him. The Calcians can be benevolent, but they are prideful. New York is their greatest stronghold, and they take honor in protecting her at all costs, even when it comes to interfering with strange and unusual craft of unknown origin. The alien craft was fast, much faster than any bird could ever hope to match. But Martin would not be deterred, and I heard him whisper a spell that caused our mount to glow and accelerate at unnatural speeds. I did not know if it was the power of the spell or the power of the bird's will that made us close the gap on the alien vessel. But as we came within a few feet of it, I could see in one of the portholes of beauty the likes of which I thought I would never see again. Belinda, my wife whom I had thought dead within dream. She stared at me, her eyes pleading with me to come to her. Impossible, I thought, but no more so than the appearance of the rift that the craft had barreled through. "Martin, do not follow them." Martin did his best to pull away from the portal, but we were sucked through, bringing us to a strange world with a red-tinged sky and a barren landscape. I thought I said not to follow them. The pull of the portal was too much for Angie. She couldn't get away from it, Martin said. downtrodden by his performance. Maybe I can get us back, but it may take me a while to figure out a portal scroll that will send us back to Manhattan and not to some other far-off world. Okay, you take care of that, and I'll fly around and see what I can see that might give me an idea of where those guys went." He did as he said he would, and we flew about in search of our quarry. We did not have to wait long before we spotted them. "There," Martin said, pointing out what looked like the wreckage of the craft in the field. "Looks like they crashed. Wonder what could have happened to cause that." "It could have something to do with the portal we crossed through," I answered, distracted. Something was wrong, and I had a hard time figuring out what it was. Seeing the face of my deceased wife was throwing off my concentration. Martin circled the area one more time and brought us in. We landed a few feet from the smoldering wreck. We dismounted Angie, and I watched as Martin cast a spell that transformed our mount from a large, robust pigeon to what looked like a paper crane. Well, in this case, a paper pigeon. "That is convenient." Martin smiled. "Yes, it makes Angie easy to handle. A common trick amongst you Calcians." Martin nodded. "Yes, we all know a variation of the same spell. It must seem like child's play to you." "No, not at all. It had always amazed me, the ingenuity of the Calcians and their Psysorks and many interesting applications they turn their arts to." I was being modest. The spell was known to me and had originated long ago on a far-off world. How the Cal got a hold of it and made it such a common tool I did not know. Martin walked over to the craft to inspect the damage. "Be careful," I warned. I had wondered what it had been that had given me such unease when we had entered this world, but now I knew. Both Martin and I were in more danger than I had originally thought. Upon closer inspection, the craft's damage was only cosmetic. "Martin, do not go near it!" Martin turned to look at me questioningly when the painted windows and the many hatches of the craft popped open to reveal over a dozen pirate-looking types with archaic guns and a blunderbuss or two, all pointed directly at Martin and me. I wondered if I could move fast enough to get close enough to him, to give him the benefit of the many wards that I had floating about me. Within moments, my worries were put to rest as Martin spun to face these brigands with his massive claymore in one hand and a shield that only left the edge of his blade exposed. I prepared a spell that would end things quickly, but the cost would be high for all concerned. I refused to draw upon myself, so this odd gaggle of gun-wielding brigands would pay the price for it. Martin stood his ground and waited, as did our attackers. From around the crashed ship stepped a man with a scabbard at his side, red hair and high cheekbones, with skin that had spent too much time in the sun. He wore a nice overcoat and dark brown knee-high boots. "Stand down, boys. If they were going to attack us, they would have already," the man said. "Why were you following us?" So I hope you enjoyed this excerpt from the OSWALD Chronicles chapbook titled, "What My Eyes See, I Cannot Tell." Please visit www.theoswaldchronicles.com and sign up for our newsletter so you can receive updates on when our next Kickstarter campaign for more books from the Oswald Chronicles will be available. So until next time, bye!